my questions today are going to be focused on the safety of corrections officers, and we had a similar discussion last year, I believe. You know, SCI Pine Grove is in my district. I can literally see the lights from the prison at night on the horizon. And these guys, the corrections officers, are in harm's way every day. They're our friends and neighbors, they're volunteer firefighters, they're Little League coaches, many of them are veterans. And yet I continue to hear stories, and you even said, you know, with the amount of the population decreasing, you know, more violent offenders are left in our prisons. And the rate of incidents against corrections officers continues to increase.
It doesn't.
Okay, that's
But it's still,
not,
I mean,
right.
any assault's not. But
Right.
But it isn't increasing. It's
Okay.
not increasing.
Well, my question, though, is, you know, if we're leaving, and rightly so, the more violent offenders in our prisons, the population is decreasing. What are we doing to ensure the safety of corrections officers?
Yeah, and I'm going to have Executive Deputy Bickle address that. He started his career as a correctional officer in 1989 and has seen it, you know, from all aspects. But one of the primary things, and one of the things you'll see in our testimony, is an increase in the staffing levels. And I think that's critical. And when you talk about what's driving costs, as I talked about with Representative Topper, it is keeping staffing levels at an appropriate level to manage this challenging population. EDS Bickle, you want to take it?
Yes. You, as the Secretary stated, any staff assault we take personal. There shouldn't be any staff assaults. However, we have taken a lot of proactive stances. As the Secretary stated, our staffing levels are all-time highs. Even with the inmate population dropping, we still have staffing levels. Our training, just this year, we increased our training hours by 11 hours per correctional officer. Pretty much just for self-defense training. Of course, the OC carrying that we do, we put more stuff in, suicide prevention things. Intervention training, our mental health training we do to assist with staff. So when you deal, as the Secretary said, with our mental health staff, we have training for them, the mental health first aid, the CIT training, so they can deal with those inmates in that manner.
We've also started this violence reduction initiative, and one of the complaints we got was that some facilities, if a certain event happened, they would be locked down, other facilities wouldn't. We now have systematized it so everyone in the system knows if A happens, if a staff member is assaulted, if there's a fight that includes a weapon or multiple inmates, whatever block that happens, they're going to be locked down. And it goes up through Executive Deputy Bickle, who signs off on all these things. We also initiated what's known in the community as Operation Ceasefire, and it was actually initiated at SCI Forest, that really takes an approach, so again, across the board. If there's an issue, everybody knows what's going to happen, and we've really done a good job of documenting that and really focusing on letting folks know that we're not going to tolerate violence. The drug interdiction, oftentimes we focus on just drugs, but what's driving violence in our facilities is drugs, and we also went tobacco-free. So the control of that, and that's often controlled by gangs within our facility. So prior to our administration, we didn't have a gang management unit. We now have a gang management unit. And so gang leaders who are inside our prisons still trying to do their stuff both in the community and within, we're responding them and targeting the leaders and locking them up. So we're constantly trying to stay ahead of it. It's a challenge. And I think one of the things oftentimes we get criticized, like, you know, your population's down, why is your staffing level still the same? And again, we're doing a good job. When I say we, I mean all of us, from a public policy standpoint, of kind of putting Republican and Democrat to the side and focusing on who needs to be in state prison. What's left is a more challenging population, so those staffing levels are critical for us.
What are your current staffing levels?
I think we're at about, overall, in the way it's measured historically, is if you take the total number of security staff, compare it to the total number of inmates, we're about 4.8 inmates per security staff member. That's a blunt instrument. It's not the best
Right.
way to do it, but it's a way that we can compare it over time to show where our staffing levels are.
And then within your budget, you have a request for additional staffing. How many more are you requesting?
I actually think we're projecting to stay the same or slightly go down because of the closure of SCI Retreat, where there's
Okay.
300 positions. But we're keeping the staffing levels at what they are.
Okay, I appreciate your testimony. Please keep the corrections officer safety, first and foremost, because I hear it firsthand from these guys in the community. So,
Thank you.
you.